Wow. I'm avoiding getting into current affairs, right?
Right.
But now it makes more sense why I hear the statements that I'm hearing. What led you to go into immigration and not corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, or what led you here?
Rod, we don't have 6 hours. I mean, this is always a important question for me because it
Hmm.
wasn't just like I woke up one day and decided that I wanted to be an immigration attorney. It's a longer story, and I think the dots kind of connect together. I myself am an immigrant. I was born in Bangladesh, and I came here when I was very very young. And as I was, there are different components to this. As I was growing up, I saw my dad petitioning for his siblings, and I saw the struggle that he went through trying to figure it out. And I didn't fully understand all the nuances, but I just knew that it was like very frustrating and something so important for the family to figure out. And at that time, I thought this is not something that I want to do. So this is when I was maybe 12, very young, teenage years. Fast forward, going to college. I went to an all women's college. And I think this is really when my advocacy background started to develop. And I saw myself as a leader and wanting to advocate for other people. And during the year between my junior year and senior year, I went to Bangladesh to do a fellowship. And originally, I was supposed to do a research on the uh, what is it called? The nationalism of Bangladesh and looking at the origin history of Bangladesh because I was an anthropology major and I was looking at that. But when I was in Bangladesh, I went by myself. I stayed in my grandparents' village,
Hmm.
and I went there for 3 months. And mind you, this is going as an adult. The last time I had gone was probably when I was 12 or something.
Hmm.
And it was very different. I was spending all this time with the women in the kitchen, and there was a bit of a boundary between how the men operated and how the women operated. The men in the family went to work, they stayed outdoors, the women stayed home, they worked in the kitchen. And when I initially said I wanted to do field work, they were kind of laughing at me because what is field work? In the
Yeah.
US and anthropology, we know that what field work is. It consists of going and doing research. But for them, they're like, oh, do you want to go work in the actual field? And I said, no, that's not what it really is. So it was a very interesting experience because I had to create this dynamic and navigate new relationships with the different people in the village, coming in as an outsider, but also the daughter of someone that they knew. And
Yeah.
over the course of a month or so, I established a certain relationship where I was able to establish myself as independent and garner some level of respect. However, halfway into the summer, my parents came to visit. And the second that my dad returned, all of a sudden I was no longer Samaya, the independent woman there doing her
Yeah.
field work. I was the daughter of so and so, and I
Uh-huh.
had to abide by traditional guidelines. I had to go back and stay
Oh.
with my dad in our traditional home because that was the respectable thing to do. No one cared that I had a project that I had to
Yeah.
finish, right?
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
was there for something else. And I found myself in a situation where I don't want to go too much into the details, where I felt I had no power. I couldn't make a single decision without some male member of my family approving it. I couldn't go anywhere without a male relative taking me,
Hmm.
all for the purpose of protecting me and because of my identity as a woman and the daughter of so and so. And this is really where I started thinking about my future and my career and what do I want to do. And I realized that I never want to be in that kind of position ever again where somebody else is going to dictate for me when I can leave the house or
Yeah.
when I can
Yeah.
do what. And I realized that the way that the women navigate power and the relationships with men in society is very, very nuanced. And at that time, I wanted to be an anthropologist. I wanted to go into academia. But I realized that if I actually want to affect some change for these women or for myself or anyone else, I need to pursue
Uh-huh.
something where I know what all my rights are, what the laws are, and that I
Mm.
can navigate around that and no one is going to tell me what to do. So that's what led me to go to law school and decide
Gotcha.
I want to be a lawyer. And I'm finishing up the story because the dots are connected. It's not
Yes.
always just a direct thing. And
Sure.
then when I went to law school, I said to myself, I'm never doing immigration law because I grew up with that and I don't want to deal
Yeah.
with the headache of that.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to do criminal law either because, I don't have the mindset for that. So then in law school, all I did was criminal law. I interned at the Brooklyn DA's office, the legal aid. I went
Yeah.
to Australia for 2 summers. I worked for a
Uh-huh.
barrister there, a youth legal center. And so I thought it was all criminal law, and that's what I was going to do. And my last year, I was all set to do the criminal justice clinic, but there was something missing, Rod. Like there was
Sure.
just something there. And at the
Uh-huh.
last minute, I remember when I was filling out that form for the clinics, the legal clinics, something made me change my mind, and I just put down immigration clinic. I just put that down, and then I got into the immigration clinic, and that just changed my life. Like the
Yeah.
missing component was the people component, the working
Uh,
with people from all different backgrounds, the
mhm.
stories. And this also brought in my interdisciplinary background from the anthropology, because immigration law, so much of practicing it is telling people stories and using the law to help them get to where they need to go. So long story, Rod, but this is the journey of becoming a lawyer and why I wanted to do
No,
immigration law.